everyone, it's Ginger from Stamping the Cape, and we finally have gotten through our tornado warnings, one last night and one tonight. And so hopefully we won't have any interruptions and I can do this quick video. I had to stop my blog post to go in the basement because we had a tornado warning this morning. But anyway, I'm here with the July Paper Pumpkin Kit. Those of you that get the kit know what the contents were from it. It makes 9 of these really adorable cards. So they're basically, you've got the nautical theme, and they coordinate, this one coordinates with the Come Sail Away bundle, which has designer series paper and dies and stamps, etc. And I'll be using a little bit of that. And then we have the set that coordinates with the Garden Lane series. Actually, I use Garden Lane, the stamp set and designer series paper in my May Stamp Club projects. And I'll have a link on my blog for that. And then this other card coordinates with the woven thread bundles, which I actually am using this month, the designer series paper in my July Stamp Club. For these projects, I was using the Grandma's House stamp set, and we made a little treat box which initially held a Grandma's chocolate chip cookie package in there. I just took it out, and this little box that had a little stain stick for Grandma who's going to have children around, and then this little card. But these are all pieces of the DSP. This one here from the Woven Threads designer series paper, and as you can see, this is the same paper that was included in the kit. So and if you'd like to get the paper supplies for my July Stamp Club kit or packet, all you have to do is place a $35 order using this hostess code by July 29th at 5 p.m. and I'll send you the paper products, the cute woven ribbon, which we are going to be using on one of the projects in the Paper Pumpkin Kit, in the die cuts, etc., etc. So anyway, so these were the 3 projects from the kit that were recommended, and as always, I do my own alternates. So this was one alternate that I did, and on this medallion stamp that's in the set, what I initially did was I inked up my stamp, stamped off on scrap paper using the Pretty Peacock ink that came with the set, and then after I stamped off, I went back onto the stamp before I stamped it and inked around, so I sort of have a two-tone effect, and I like the way that it's not absolutely perfect, because the Bohemian kind of woven threads suite, you know, not everything is perfectly solid. It's got faded looks and whatnot, so I created that by using the stamp that way. And then I just made a tassel using our linen thread and kind of stuck that underneath, and some embellishments from the kit. These little strips are actually remnants of when you in the kit, when you punch out this piece and the little tags, you have these little strips left over, and I just cut those down and stuck them on the sheet. And again, this is from the kit, the little circle. I just stuck it on and trimmed it off. This project, I'm going to show you how I made this. I saw it online for a small 3x3 type project, but I made it the full card length, and I'll put a link to that one too to give the person the credit for it. But it's a little post-it note holder. At the time when I did this, I didn't have the smaller post-it notes, which I'm going to use for the one I'm going to show you. So what I did was I double popped up. I stacked Stampin' Dimensionals. I don't know if you can see that. One on top of the other to give it more height, so that it wouldn't sag down too much. But anyway, it's a cute little pen holder, and I've even put some of the DSP inside the pen so that it coordinates. And these are the Pentel RSVP pens. In fact, I was just in Walmart and I saw them now with all the school supplies in there. You can get 2 for 99 cents, so that's pretty good. But you could, if you get those little pens, sometimes they have them in the dollar store, you could use those too. So then this is another card I made. What I did was I tore open the inside of one of the envelopes from the kit, and I used that as the background. And then I did use this little die, is from the Come Sail Away bundle, and it's actually meant to go on to, let's see if I can find it quickly. Yeah, it's meant to go onto this compass, which is a stamp from the set, and the die for that is separate. But I saw I was getting this idea, and this is some of the baker's twine that is part of the bundle. And on my blog, I have links to these particular products. But I thought that kind of looked like a cleat, and actually it was a little bit longer, so I cut it down just a little bit. But if you're familiar with boating or sailing, a cleat is where they tie the boat off with. And so I actually have done a cleat hitch knot right there, and I've linked a video if you really want to do a real boating knot. There's a neat little animated video on how you can create that. But anyway, those were the 2 pieces I brought in from the Come Sail Away bundle. But like I said, this is part of the envelope. And then on this one, everything is from the kit except I added the Sahara Sand woven ribbon. This is really cool ribbon. It starts off as one piece and it's stitched along the bottom, and you just pull that stitching out and you get this cute little fringe. But you know, this is from the kit. I used a piece of scrap. This is actually Poppy Parade ink that was in our, let's see, I think it was the March kit where we had the pop-up birthday cards. And what I did was I inked up the stamp and stamped off to create a lighter color, because the color that coordinates with this paper is one of our new in colors, Terracotta Tile. So in case, you know, someone didn't want to buy Terracotta Tile and they didn't have it, because that's what this color is, I stamped off the Poppy Parade, and it kind of, you know, blends in nicely where you've got those faded colors and whatnot. So that's another alternate. And actually, I'm going to show you this one. So then this is a piece of the Designer Series paper from the Garden Lane paper. So I just cut a small piece and put that on. And then this stamp is from, I want to say it was the April one. It was the one that had the or was it the May one? I've written it on my blog and I forgot. But it was the stamp set that had the distinctive stamp, that rose that when you stamp it with one image, you get several different textures on it. So that's from another Paper Pumpkin kit. So and so was this one. This was from last month's Paper Pumpkin kit, that sentiment. But then I had one more card base sitting on my desk, and I had this negative piece from the leaves that we used over here, and I went, why not? So I cut another piece of Designer Series paper from Garden Lane and put that in the back, and it will depend, the sizes will depend on how much you trim this down. So I've given some dimensions on my blog, but depending on how you trim this piece will depend on what your background's going to be. And then this is a piece from the kit, from the Paper Pumpkin kit. I did punch out some vellum leaves with the sprig punch, and then the ink for this was Mossy Meadow. But I just used the back side instead of the striped side. I just used the solid side, and it's a little, you know, busy, but you know, just another little card. So let me get started and show you how to make the Post-it note holder. Because I don't have another envelope, I've just taken a piece of Sahara Sand, and because it's important when you do this to know what's going to be your front cover. With these, it was a little bit easier because to remind you, because we had the printed side on the front and the back was plain. So, but this time I put the paper on so I would remember. And I always create this little template to remind myself. In fact, in this particular project, cutting the spots for the pen, I've messed that up several times. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your card fronts, and this is the front cover. So this would be, if you're using one of your cards, it's going to be one of your printed pieces, and you're going to trim it off a 1/2 inch here. So it's going to be 5.5 by 8. And then this is your original score line from the card, the way it comes. And so you're going to score it with that front cover to your right. You're going to score it 3 3/4 and then 4 3/4 on either. It's basically a 1/2 inch on either side of that score line. So that's what I've done. And so we're going to fold on those score lines. I didn't bring my bone folder. What else is new? But that's okay. Okay, so this is where I get messed up. So what you're going to want to do is, because this goes, these pop out. This is your pen holder. These go like this. And I always mess this up cutting on the wrong sides. So this is the way it's going to go. So you're going to want to be cutting right in the middle of those two pieces. So find, this is your middle score line. And what I would recommend you do, now I thought I had brought another pen. Oh, yes, I did. There it is. Okay. So what you would want to do, depending on what kind of pen you're using or what size it is, I would, because your pen's going to, it's going to hit that notch eventually. I mean, this one will stay there, but if you want it to stay at that notch, you might want to place it down on your cardstock and say, okay, that's where the notch is, and I'm going to make a cut. If I had a pencil, I would mark it, but I'm just going to cut up to that score line right there, and from that point I'm okay. So you're cutting at the fold right up to this horizontal score line, and then about a 1/2 inch down you're going to cut again, and then you're going to do about the same thing on this side roughly. I'm just eyeballing it. If you're a perfectionist, you can get a ruler out and measure, but that's not me if I can help it. Okay, so there's our little pop-up. So what's going to happen is the middle score line is going to get actually folded in, and then the two little cut lines that you made are going to fold out. So you get this effect. So like I said, you're going to cut it on the center score line, two little notches, and then these will fold in and your cut ones will fold out. But before we do that, now we need to put the tear and tape to hold this together. And again, I've had to mark this because this is one place where I've messed up several times. So this is your short end and your long end, and I'm putting the short end at the top, and I'm going to put tear and tape in between my cut lines in the middle of this score line. So hopefully you can see that. Here it's pretty clear. These are my score lines and these were my cut lines. You're going to put tear and tape everywhere but on that cut line. Just do that. Actually, I might use my scissors so I can get nice and close to the edge. I'm hoping I'm doing this right, because if I'm not, I'm going to cry. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now let's take off. Now, at this point, you might, if you want to do more decorating or whatever, you can do it now. You can do it after, but I'm not going to bother to go through all the decorating part, but whatever makes it easier for you. So remove your tear and tape, protective paper there. And so what's going to happen again, you're going to push in your center score line and pop out those little cuts you made and just stick that down. So that's where your pen is going to slide in, like that. So now my Post-it notes, as I said, on the first one I didn't have the small ones, and I tried to find, these are the 1.5 by 3 inch or thereabouts. I couldn't find a separate package of them. I was in Staples and Walmart, so I basically just cut one of these in half, just for demonstration purposes. But you're going to put your tear and tape on the back of your Post-it note and really secure it well. I had to buy a whole big package of Post-its, which I don't use them that often, so I'll probably give them to my daughter-in-law. She's a teacher, and teachers can always use Post-its. I'll keep a couple of these. Are the good ones. I have the inexpensive ones, but I'll probably give them to her. I'll make a back-to-school present for her. Okay. So make sure you've got your flippy end here. I'm just going to stick that. And I want to make sure I've got enough room for everything's going to. That one's going to go there. And then I'm going to stick this one at the top. Now again, on my other one, I stacked Stampin' Dimensionals, one set on top of another set to try to equal the height. Depending on if you're using, these are Post-it notes that I think they have, I want to say 150 or something. The real Post-its are thicker than your lesser expensive ones. So depending on how thick yours are, would depend on how many dimensionals you'd want to be stacking. So that way you've got it nice and even. As I said, on this one I just stacked the dimensionals one on top of the other. I don't know if you can see that in there, but it's not exactly the same height, but it gets the job done. So what you would do is you would decorate it and you're good to go. Now, if you're using these pens, which I just lost it again, there it is. If you're using these RSVP pens, the neat thing about them is they come unscrewed at the bottom, and then you can take your Designer Series paper, and you can just use the pen as the ink, whatever you call this part, as a guide to start it rolling. Curled. And actually you can even use your bone folder to start curling it, but you want to get it skinny enough so that you can fit it right inside the tube. So you could use the same paper, you could use coordinating paper. I want to get this small enough so I can, tight enough so I can get it in there. This is probably the hardest part of the whole thing. Here we go. I think that one will be good. Push it all the way in. Put your ink back in. Screw it down, and now you've got a coordinating pen. So there you go. So I hope you enjoy that. I'll have more information on my blog. I'll put a link at the bottom of this post. But thanks for watching. And just as a reminder, we're still in bonus days in July till the end of July. If you place an order of $50, Stampin' Up! Will send you a code via email that you can get $5 off next month for the month of August. And also I give mermaid rewards for every $50 purchase, so that information will be all available on my blog. And if you're thinking about joining Stampin' Up! Or you've seen a lot of things in the catalog, we just got a peek at the holiday catalog, which goes live to customers September 4th, but will go live for demonstrators on August 1st. And if you're thinking about, there's a lot of things that you like, you may want to think about signing up as a demonstrator, because right now you can get $155 in product of your choice, and that would include, if you sign up between August 1st and August 31st, that would not only include the annual catalog, you could get your holiday items too as part of your kit. So it's something to think about. There's no commitment to doing workshops. You can be a hobby demo. There's no pressure from me. That's one thing I'm low-key. I don't drive people crazy with that. So there's information on my blog, how I operate, how the whole process works. Oh yes, and you'll get an additional code for another $10 to spend next month as a demonstrator. So there's lots of benefits going on this month. And I will also mention that, I left it over there. I'm doing my early fall Christmas Stamp-A-Stack. I'm using I meant to bring them over. I'm using the Lots of Cheer stamp set, and this is the one stamp set that I didn't have that was in the annual catalog. So my stamp customers right now have seen most of the ones I already have. But we'll be doing these two cards. There's information, if you're not local, about how you can participate in making some early Christmas cards. But again, if you're thinking about a lot of the products that you might like, signing up as a demonstrator next month might be the key, because you'll also get to order holiday products first thing before everybody else. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please give me a shout. stampingthecape@gmail.com. This is Ginger, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.